Phoenix Splash TV. UTADA HIKARU, also known as Hikaru Utada, and other names. For this video, I'll be referring to her as UTADA HIKARU because that's the name I grew up with knowing her by. And ever since I started the Musician Spotlight series, the one artist I always wanted to cover was UTADA HIKARU. My history with her is a rather unique one compared to other musicians in my past. UTADA was literally the first and only pop star I ever fell in love with, like head over heels for. I got into her music about the time after my first girlfriend broke up with me. And I don't know, I guess I kind of pretended that she was like a fantasy girl for me. I guess it's the same thing when people call a fictional character their waifu. Her voice, her simple music videos, and good composition just flipped on the switch of love. And I guess you can say that she was my rebound, even though she didn't know it. But of course I eventually snapped out of the whole love spell and moved on to find a type of relationship where the other person actually knows that they're in it. But that didn't stop me from continuing to listen to UTADA's music. If you're a fan of the Kingdom Hearts video games, then you've probably heard her music before. She's one of the most successful pop stars of all time, if you could even call her a pop star. Personally, I don't. She's a multi-instrumentalist, a composer, and one of the most unique vocalists that you will find today. UTADA HIKARU was born in Manhattan of US soil, which makes her an American artist and means that she can legally run for president. She was born to two Japanese musicians, a Japanese enka singer and a Japanese record producer who both have established music careers themselves. With the musical family, UTADA began writing music at the young age of 10 years old and would often record with her mother under the name U3. She would eventually start working on an album called Precious under the name Cubic U. The single from this album would be a cover of a famous Carpenter song called Close to You. Unfortunately for UTADA, the album did not do as well as she'd hoped for, and it did not place within the Oricon charts or any charts for that matter. But even with this first album, you can see just how involved UTADA was in the composition and producing side of the music. Even with the first album considered a failure, she would redeem herself when she moved to Tokyo. She dropped the name Cubic U and used her own name to make the next album titled First Love. First Love would be considered a commercial success and would become the best-selling Japanese album of all time. Even today, it still holds that record. You were always gonna be my love. Not only was UTADA involved with the music composition of the album, but she was actually involved with the recording, editing, and producing process of the album as well, and she was only 16 years old. And after a 2-year hiatus, UTADA would release 2 more albums in Japan that were also considered commercial successes. With singles like Can You Keep a Secret and Addicted to You, UTADA would slowly cement herself as the most identifiable and popular singer-songwriter in Japan. With all the Japanese success, she finally had a US opportunity. In 2001, she co-composed Blow My Whistle for the movie Rush Hour 2 alongside Pharrell Williams and Chad Hugo. And she also sang alongside Foxy Brown's crude and obscene rap lyrics.
So units like Michael in the 80s. What am I supposed to do? I don't wanna be your referee, but anytime tonight I'm gonna blow my whistle soon.
After After the opportunity, Utada would focus on releasing her third album in Japan and become the first Japanese artist to have 3 consecutive albums sell over 3 million copies each, which was a pretty big deal. With her success in Japan and the showcase of her skills within Rush Hour's Blow My Whistle, the United States record company Island became interested in recording an all-English, all-American album for Utada Hikaru. Utada eventually accepted the offer, and thus Exodus began production. This album was supposed to be Utada's big break in the United States, but it didn't turn out that way. So why was this? Some people blame the fact that Utada had to be hospitalized due to an ovarian tumor, and thus the album had to be delayed, and promotion wasn't as good as it could have been. But I'm going to side with Utada and agree that it was because of the music composition. At this point in time, Utada had grown as a composer and was starting to get into experimentation, and this was all over the album. Alternative rock sounds, glitch music, and electronica were all mixed, and it has some of Utada's greatest songs that she's ever made. With experimental songs like those, the singles needed to do well, and they somehow just didn't. Even so, Exodus did allow Utada to have a cult following in the United States, and still allowed America to take notice of her existence. I remember back in the day, there were some interviews where reporters were just downright rude to her.
Well, why did it take so long? Your album, you've had a few albums out in Japan. They've been incredibly successful.
I'm only 21. Come on.
All right, you're right. Why did it take 20 years? But it has been a while.
Slow start.
It has been a while, though, since you've been incredibly popular in Japan.
Yeah, I guess I could have begun.
All right, well, we look forward to hearing your new album. Utada, thank you so much for joining us.
That was quick.
We're out of time for today, but tomorrow, Mixmaster Mike...
There's also rumors that people in the American music industry did not like her father too much. But whatever the reason, Utada would go on to create more albums centered in Japan and become the star that she was meant to be. Her composition would continue to grow, and she would create some great songs during this time. Most notably, she would go on to create songs for the video game series known as Kingdom Hearts. With the success of the video game and the awesomeness of the song itself, her inclusion in Kingdom Hearts actually made her more known within the Western market, arguably more so than her own album Exodus. She would get the North American itch once again and make another album in the United States titled This Is The One. Now, even though this is my least favorite album by her, it still has one of my favorite songs titled Merry Christmas, Mr. Lawrence.
I give you my heart, hold on, let me sign it. You're señorita, aka your best friend. If I let it be known, love like never before. I'm always at your service, you just have to holler at me. NYC, NYC.
And if you know this channel, then you'll know why it's one of my favorites by her. I like what she did with Ryuichi's melody, but the lyrics confused me. Merry Christmas, Mr. Lawrence was a movie about World War II, and the song had nothing to do with that. Unlike Exodus, this album completely catered to the mainstream within the US. And it was kind of weird hearing words like holla come out of Utada's mouth, along with chingaling and synthesized instruments. But if you listen to the songs live, I think they're better. After this album, she would go on to release a few more singles, one being one of my favorites, Goodbye Happiness. The music video to that one is just bittersweet, but I won't show it because she'll probably take it down. But I suggest you go watch it if you haven't seen it. It was UTADA's first YouTube video, and she directed it herself. In 2010, UTADA broke many hearts when she announced an indefinite hiatus. During this time, she was going through some hardships with her mother passing away and her getting married and having a child. But unknown to many people, she was working on a new album during her hiatus, and thus in 2016, the album known as Phantom was released. The genres were more experimental, and songs featured special guests like Sheena Ringo and Japanese rapper KOHH. As soon as I heard the quality of composition within these songs, I knew that UTADA was back. In the time of making this video, within the next few weeks, UTADA's 7th album, Tsuko, will be released. It will feature songs from the upcoming Kingdom Hearts 3 video game. Tsuko is Japanese for First Love, which was the name of her first album. And that's just awesome. But it kinda scares me that it coming full circle might mean that this will be UTADA's last album. But there hasn't been any announcement of her quitting or anything like that. Already, a single from that album has reached #1 on the newly formed Oricon digital charts, and I am already in love with it. There are no words to express what I felt when watching the new Kingdom Hearts trailer and hearing her voice in it. Kingdom Hearts is where I first heard her voice, and it's pretty cool to see that she'll be singing for it again. It was like hearing from an old friend, and I guess that's what pop star love is. Even though she has no idea who I am, I still feel a personal connection with her through her music, and during her hiatus, I was legitimately concerned for her. Hearing about her mother saddened me, and now that I've heard her new music, I feel like she's actually talking to me about everything that has happened. It's a connection that I haven't really felt with any other musician, and I don't think I ever will. And I honestly believe that her personal touch to her music is what inspires me to put those same touches on my own music. So UTADA, if you're watching this video, before you flag it for copyright, just know that you have really touched me and inspired this composer to the highest degree. And remember to always stay gold. Anyways guys, this is Josh the Music Man, signing off.